Always.
Folks, we have a very special guest for you tonight.
Hello, we've been expecting you.
I'd like to
This is not a
introduce...
test. Your government and corporate overlords have implemented new measures for your own health and safety. We are just following orders.
Everything is going to be fine.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new If by Whiskey, a brand new intro by Jason. What's up, man? How are you?
Do you like it? Man, I was pretty excited when I came up with that.
I loved it, dude. That was awesome. Like, it's funny because we're starting to incorporate and tweak, and then we just keep adding little pieces to stuff that we've built foundationally. Like, you threw the consciously unmasked in there, the Matrix is in the background, and I love it, man. So thanks for doing that, man. And we threw a little new music in there too. So give a little
Hell
different
yeah.
vibe. So we're gonna get a little more loungy with us.
We start off smooth, and then it gets crazy. That's how it goes around here.
That's how it goes. So, sir, it's been a crazy weekend coming out of Thursday. May I just get this out of the way? Because I got to get this out of the way. Okay, we've got a
Yes.
handful of people already on. First of all, everybody who's on, do us a huge favor. Go over to rumble.com/ifbywhiskey. Jump on there. The chat is bananas. It's bonkers. It's amazing. It's awesome. We'll put up our banner stuff here. We're going to put up the comments here. So please start typing away. So, sir, we had a scheduling conflict with you to do a debate with a gentleman on Thursday. So I decided to do the debate. And I didn't know how it was going to go. I am anti-war in general. I'm not anti-Zionist or whatever, anti-Semitic or whatever. I'm like anti-war. It might include some anti-Zionism because I don't like the tactics. Okay, whatever. So this gentleman on Facebook, I make this post. This gentleman comes on. We have a 3-hour conversation. Now I'm sitting on my hands. People in the audience who watched it, who are in the chat, can share. Free, what's up, man? Free's already in there. That's what Free told
What up,
me.
dude?
Free's in chat, right? So he goes, man, I was listening to your thing and I clicked ahead and he was talking. Then I clicked ahead and he was talking. Then I clicked ahead and he was talking. I'm like, I didn't talk much, man. I can't say it. So what happened over the week? I thought it actually ended okay. Then we had an awesome podcast, you and I, with Howard Bloom. That was so much fun, man. First of all, what was your impression with Howard?
He's awesome, man. I really love the book so far. What I've read of the sexual cosmos, everybody should check that out. The dude is still talking somewhere. Yeah.
Anyway,
but man, he's smart.
A little bit about that.
And he'll just talk about things. I think like politically, maybe we're not on the exact same page, but he's just like, nah, screw politics, man. Which I'm all down for that. But
totally, and he's
open.
open.
Couple contradictions, but it's okay. He was great.
Yeah, but it's like open,
awesome.
Right? It's like he's open mind, and that's the thing is we want those ideas because we'll figure out which idea is the best. But Howard's so good at just getting ideas out, and the way he writes, it's such an easy read. And like I said, I listened to Einstein, Michael Jackson, and Me, and you're doing the Sexual Cosmos, the new book, and you're raving about it.
Yeah, the way he talks about just like the environment, how we look at it, because everyone's so like anti-human, the extreme like environmentalist types, they're just like, oh, humans are a plague on the planet, but he totally reframes it as like, no, this is nature taking its course and building something better, upgrading the earth, and it's really cool, really fascinating.
It's really cool. So we had that, and then luckily I was on Free's Are You Smarter Than a Politician, which turned out to be Are You Higher Than a Politician between the two of us. And
I saw some of that. You did good, man.
Thanks, man. That was a lot of fun. Well, thanks to Free for having us on. First, Thomas Queter was awesome. Joanne in Texas, they were awesome Freedom Fest people. That was great. So then we had that. So going into the weekend, I was feeling pretty good that we had gotten through a lot of the heavy lifting of some stuff we had gone into. And then I posted some more stuff, got back and forth with this Adam Stevens, and I'm going to just put up the last post that he put up. All right. Can you guys all see that? All right. So I'm just going to read the highlighted parts because I can't believe that it devolved so quickly with this person. But basically, he goes on to say, you may be an ex-neocon, but you are an up-to-date fucktard. And then
Well, that's a great way to make friends.
it's like, hey, please let me on your show again, you fucktard.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and then in the middle, he goes, if you could put your weed pen down for a moment, something you couldn't do during our interview. Dude, I needed this just to get through our interview, my friend. Just so you know.
I need it to live.
Yeah, thank you. I need just through the interview so I can bite my tongue off. Lastly, this is my favorite because like he didn't know my heritage, but I knew his, but I wanted him to share his, right? So I was hoping we'd come from opposite ends, but align on some things like humanity. Not the case. Last part. I understand that your grandfather, by your own admission, was a Nazi soldier. And so you probably inherited a metric ton of stupid excuses for his actions and those like him.
Yeah, Mark, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You got to stop bragging about your Nazi grandfather. That's not a flex.
It's not a flex?
No, man.
Oh, man. I've been walking around like acting like it's all good and stuff. Like, do people not know this is why I'm this way is because I have an ancestry that was fucking pure evil? Like, and it's not like he got sucked into it just like all the Germans did, right? But it was an evil thing, an ideology that swept the nation, however it was. The reason I'm like this is because they were like that. And I see it in others, like the people that we're talking about. So,
well, and everyone knows the Germans are genetically predisposed to evil. That's what we're meant to believe, right?
Of course. I mean, come on. You can't get Anglo-Saxon. You can't get the British Empire without Anglo-land, which are all Germans anyway. I mean, Germans just, come on. Germans rule the world, I guess, right? So I must show this because it was a 3-hour podcast, but I saved everyone 3 hours because I clipped 2 minutes of it where he literally tells me exactly what I was telling him. So if it's a minute 58, guys, but trust me, I would ask that you watch this podcast because it's like an examination in how to be patient with someone, but I wouldn't ask you to watch it for content. It was just a bunch of bloviating. Okay. But here's the 2 minutes. So I'd like to share the last thing, save you 3 hours. Basically, it was about being unprovoked and preemptive strike on Iran. So let me share this last little piece, if I may, and we will go from there. And then we'll start with Peterson. Actually, we've got our sip coming up, and then we've got that. All right. Are you ready, sir?
Ready.
Here we go.
Let me ask you this. Is the Ayatollah a death cult?
I believe that the Iranian government, where the Ayatollah is the head of it, but yes, I do believe that the philosophy that is the foundation of the government of Iran right now is effectively a death cult.
So it's your assessment that they get a nuclear weapon so they could immediately launch it and then be destroyed themselves. That's your assessment.
I didn't say they would have to immediately use it.
Well, what's your point then? Wait, so they're not going to use it? How would they use it? Yeah, explain to me a situation they would use it. Here, that's great. Let's do that.
Well, I believe they would. Here's the thing. I don't think they would launch. I don't think, as an example, and I'll go from greater powers to more regional powers. Do I believe they would launch an ICBM at the United States and launch a nuclear missile at us? No, I don't. Do I believe that once you have an intercontinental ballistic missile, that you can, in theory, hit the United States? Can you use that threat? Can you use that reality as a leverage point for negotiating? Can you hold, in essence, foreign governments hostage to certain policy decisions? Absolutely, that's a possibility.
And Iran is within striking nuclear distance of about 6 nuclear powers. You don't think that? Do you understand what my point is? You don't think that they go to Israel, they don't strike us. Israel's going to launch theirs. Pakistan would launch theirs. Russia would launch theirs if they were attacked. They would, right? You would argue that. So
any of those countries
destruction, correct? So yeah, you're saying they wouldn't use them, which is interesting. Because that's kind of the point of the whole preemptive strike thing is they're making nuclear weapons and they'd like use them right away. So wasn't that the whole point? Is the second they acquire a nuclear weapon, they're going to launch it? Isn't that? Wasn't that what they said? You're on mute, buddy. I'm sorry, buddy. We did it. We did it. Yes. You screwed up first. You're still muted. I can't hear you.
Well,
There you
that's
are.
probably good. You didn't want to hear what I did.
No, dude, I got to hear this. Roll it back.
Yeah, no, man, that's what you hear, right? Iran cannot have a nuke because that's the logic. Is like as soon as they have this, we're all dead. They're gonna hit New York. They're gonna hit the United States, but obviously, they won't. But yeah, God forbid they have some leverage to have sovereignty in their own country, as messed
crazy,
up
man.
as they might be. But thank God everything seems to be winding down right now. Pray it stays that way.
Yeah, this outcome is the best of what of the actions that took place right now. This is the best outcome. Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make, it's like the last thing is like preemptive strikes are a simple violation of the non-aggression principle. It's like, it's a principle, guys. Sorry that sides of war don't have principles, but sorry. But anyway, so that's it. It's all in the rear view. It's all done, my friend. We are done with this. So now we can move on. But
I hope we never have to talk about Iran again, but I'm sure we will.
You know what? I hope not. Till another 5 years when we have to mow the lawn again.
Oh, 5 years is generous, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It'll well, actually, by the time Adam was done talking, they already had acquired a new nuclear weapon. They were weeks away. So it's pretty fun. So welcome, man, everyone. AWOL Aaron. We got Legacy Zach. We got who? Mel the Libertarian. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
We got a lot of people. I think it's time for our little ritual.
All right, everybody. Pour a glass, everybody. Fill up your drinks. Let's do it.
It is time for the moment that sends the lizard people running back to the sewers, scrambles the CIA spy network, and causes the simulation to drop a frame. Yes, folks, it's our very own Whiskey Rebellion, known only as the Simulation Sip.
All you need is a cup, a mug, a goblet, a horn, a flask, or an ancient alien thermos filled with any beverage Big Pharma hasn't recalled yet. Could be coffee, tea, ivermectin smoothies, graphene oxide latte, dealer's choice.
Join us now as we raise our glasses in unison, confusing the AI overlords, forestalling the next CDC directive, and maybe, just maybe, waking up one more NPC. Here we go. It's good stuff.
Perfect.
Welcome back to our little glitch in the Matrix. We are If by Whiskey. I'm Jason. This is Mark. Go follow him. Go follow our channel on Rumble if you haven't. Rumble.com/ifbywhiskey. Trying to get more followers there.
Follow Jason down there. Because Jason, look, I know you haven't been as active in your podcast personally, but you have some banger podcasts. Do you mind sharing a couple guests you have that like Matt and or Matt Sands and a couple other ones like that you've had, the Andrew and all that?
Yeah, Matthew Sands was a great one. That was the last interview I did. We talked about intellectual property, some other things, his plan for peace, his plan for implementing the non-aggression principle in real life. He's a cool guy. He's not like a famous dude, but he's out there talking to people. Great guy. Jason Fry was awesome. We had a couple episodes with him. He wrote National Divorce, A Plan for Peace. That was really good. I've had Andrew Heaton, Keith Knight of the Libertarian Institute. I know I'm forgetting very important people. Clint Russell.
Spike Cohen, of course.
Spike Cohen is awesome.
There's Keith Knight's book, of course.
Some good ones.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so please go on that channel. And everybody, once again, we've got over 30 people, it looks like, on X. We've got like 20 or some on Rumble already. So come on over to Rumble. Trust me, it's worth it. That's where everybody's talking. So once again, Mel Libertarian, AWOL Aaron. We've got Free was jumping on there. We got Zach. Did I miss anybody, Jason? Oh, Terry's on there too. Terry. Hi, Terry. Thanks so much.
Hey, Ron, you got him?
Aaron, AWOL. Yep. All right. Well, welcome everyone. So today, what do we got for today, Jason?
We're finishing up with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, not because we particularly love those people, but because when they get together, it's always interesting. And we got through about 20 minutes of their conversation with, pausing, breaking it down, talking about things. We're skipping a big part in the middle where they just talked about social media and why X is so terrible compared to other social media networks. It's fine, but we decided to skip to the end because they start talking about AI and morality. So morality kind of in the digital world. What do we do about morality now that we have things like AI that could impersonate a Peterson, a Harris, and make fake content? What do we do about that? So it's interesting stuff.
All right, we've got Mel Libertarians. It's Valley Girl, Jason. I didn't know it was
Valley
Valley.
Girl.
Welcome, Valley Girl.
Thanks for
Welcome.
coming.
I saw you reposted. I didn't know if you jump on, but thank you so much. We have to do a collaboration with you and your partner too. Is it Elizabeth with the stuff she uncovered with Casey and all that stuff?
Casey Anthony.
Casey Anthony.
Yeah, she messaged me like 2 months ago and I never responded. So I feel bad for that. But I finally did. We've been chatting. Maybe we'll do something soon.
All right, let's do something. All right, so we get out of this thing. Basically, what's happening is Peterson talks about the algorithm and anonymity and all this stuff. Now, we know that we've got a bunch of people, especially in the libertarian space, that are anonymous, right? We got people like Free and Decentralized and all these other people, Township Libertarian, all these different names, because they keep getting demonetized or banned or censored for things they say that are outside of the accepted range of things, right? So the question has always been like anonymity or not. Now, for me, the reason I use my full name is just because there's no way I can be anonymous. I am so old that I have a footprint from so far back that like they doxed me this, you know what I mean? They connect the dots in like 2 seconds. So like, even if I came in anonymous, there's no way I don't think I could keep it. So I might as well just lean in with being who I am, because like everybody else is taken, I guess. So, but I do understand the anonymity, but listening to these two people talk is very interesting. I did speed up to 1.25. So we've got 40 people on X. It looks like we've got 15 to 20 on Rumble. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to hit this. Jason, you just tell me when to pause and then we'll just tear it apart, my friend.
All right, let's do it.
They're going to maximize that.
The half-life is one thing, but also the culture that is informing these algorithms, the actual human behavior that the algorithms are skimming and boosting, is increasingly a bad faith style of conversation. I mean, it's just so many people, especially the anonymous people, are in the misinformation business. I mean, they will just cut together a clip that is designed to mislead, and that is the clip that will get spread to the ends of the earth.
Well, is it designed to mislead, or is it designed to optimize their particular grip on short-term attention for their own for their own aggrandizement? Like the psychopathic move, and let's say that it's facilitated by these short-term attention.
Yeah, I think we can already pause there. So, Sam says, they clip things. People clip things on the internet, on social media, of big long interviews to make it look like they're saying something that they're not. Now, that is a problem. But if you understand the context of what they had been talking about from last time, it's about the old institutions. Now, would those old institutions ever do anything like that? Cut something out of context to make it look like someone's saying what they're not saying? Can you think of any examples?
Yeah, so I mean, just like, look, we got Free up here. All right, first of all, you got absolutely, you can be anonymous and they keep banning your account. That's Free right there. Okay, Free has been banned 5-6 times or something. Terry obviously is on board. He can give classes in that. All right, so that's where we're at with that. Okay. Oh, check this out as well. New episode tonight. Oh, okay, so we'll have to do that as well. All right, so with these institutions, the anonymity and the stuff, cutting and pasting out of context. Did you see the question I asked James Lindsay? I asked him a general question, and all he said is, you took it out of context. And like, that's like the new defense is, it's all, you've been very fine people hoaxed. It's like, dude, all right, I watched 8 hours of your bullshit, man. I didn't watch 2-3 second clips. And to anyone who does that and thinks they know something, that's their problem. That's not our problem. We decide to be well informed, right? We don't believe in Dunning-Kruger. I don't want one piece of information to be like, I know everything. So that's my thought on that. What are your thoughts on it?
Right. No, absolutely. People definitely take things out of context. It happens. But what you talked about with James Lindsay was not out of context at all. It's his whole shtick. His whole thing is everyone's woke, right? And if you don't support Israel wholeheartedly, then you're, I don't know, whatever.
And what's crazy is I had a conversation with him, press the flesh. I actually shook his hand and had a conversation, and he explained it in a way I was like, okay, I get that. And then he gets right on X the second he comes back and then triples down. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just, which one's the act? The person or the account, right? Like, which one is it? And it's like, either one is fake to me. You and I tend to be pretty genuine come hell or high water. We'll take our hits trying to be as genuine as we can, whether we're right or wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, what they're talking about, like most of the stuff in this whole interview or this whole conversation between these two, it's not totally wrong. Like they have some good points. Yeah, of course, people will take things out of context. They do that all the time. But Sam's complaint, again, if you saw our last episode, he was talking about how we don't need to break from the old institutions and the old rules. We just need to go back to them. We need to just refresh and make sure we're following the rules again. It's like they have been doing this forever. There's never a time when they didn't do this.
Right. And that's the thing is, but Peterson does have the point. And if you watch The Social Dilemma, is that the documentary, I think? The one on Netflix?
Yeah.
It speaks to attention. And if those clips are the ones that people are stupid enough to click on, then that's the one that's going to gain the attention in the algorithm. Well, how you fix that is you try to have better educated people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the solution.
Right. And they're going to talk about some potential solutions, so we can get into that. But it's definitely like, yeah, people are going to be stupid. You're not going to get away from that. What we had before the internet, before social media and all that, was a monopoly on the whole system. So they could share these out of context clips of people talking, like the fine people thing. Luckily, that was in the social media age, so we all knew about it. So anyone that wants to can go see, oh, that was totally out of context. Right. But
good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, and the institution-wise, look at what happened. CBS clipped out Kamala Harris's answers and rearranged them. Who are you trusting? Which institution are we talking about here, Sam? Like, once again, we talk about they're corrupt now. So there has to, right now, because they're corrupt and still exist, you have to circumvent. There's no way, you're not uprooting it yet. Until it gets uprooted, you're circumventing. It's the only solution that we have.
Yeah, and I don't really think there's a way to uncorrupt it. I mean, having like a freer market of people, like everyone's able to talk and you kind of figure out what the truth is that way is better. But everyone's still going to be biased. You're not going to get away from that. You know,
we're biased. I mean, we're biased. We know that. It's just we're a little more aware of our biases, right? And we know how it plays into our humanity, I think.
Yeah, but look at, CNN. Why do they say what they say? Who are they paid by? Where do they make their money? Who are they cozy up with? And if you understand that, then you can understand a little bit better why they say what they say, and maybe take a little bit of truth out of it, because they can't completely make everything up. Right? There has to be some kind of like piece of truth. Like they'll take the clip, so it's a real clip of somebody saying something, but it makes it sound 100% different than what it was. So anyway,
it's like fact but not truth, right? It's like different.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, once again, thank you again. We're already at 50 people on the X. We've got 20 people on the Rumble. We are brought to you by Pfizer, so thank you for joining us. But once again,
we'll take some of that money.
This is where we're at. We're gonna go back to the institution. We're gonna let Jordan talk about God and what he's got.
Just get the vaccine.
Aggregators that are driven by bots that are learning how to do this. The psychopathic proclivity, the narcissistic proclivity, is going to say whatever puts you at the center of attention, whatever it is. Now, if you're governed by some kind of ethos that is outside of attention seeking, then that's a different story. But the game, if the game is that the machine optimizes for short-term attention, then it's going to reward all the players that are doing whatever it takes to grip short-term attention.
Yeah, but the thing is, people, whatever it takes though, is to get somebody seeming to say something.
All right, so he's about to get into like fake stuff and fraud, which is a different story. But so this idea of like maximizing attention, like trying to get everyone's attention and doing whatever you can, including lying, to get attention, that does work in the short term, but people figure you out. You know what I mean? Like you've got people like Cat Turd out there who was, you know, just total Trump grifter, and so many people follow him and they still do. But like you see the attacks, the people starting to break from him, like, oh, you're just a Trump lackey, you have no original thoughts of your own. Like, so it does start to come out, and you know, it's a problem that so many people fell for it in the first place. I get it, but how do you control for that if you even wanted to?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. These people that are talking right now, once again, we saw them. They were the ones who were censored coming up, right? Weren't they the ones censored? Peterson and Shapiro and Harris and all these guys were the intellectual dark web and the new atheists, and oh my gosh, we can't, their words are dangerous to share. And now they're at the top of the mountain because the rest has like been shaken, but they have an ideology that they just can't let go. And once again, broken record, I'm not going to say what, but we all know what it is. And it seems to always come up like a little festering thing. And they're not going to let it go. They're just not. But this whole thing about like the anonymity, and it is true, the anonymity is not the problem. Stealing of identity, sure, but then it gets into all IP stuff too, right? Because we'll talk about that with AI. So it's really interesting. Do you mind reading this one from Freedom Uncut? That's free every Friday, 8 p.m. Are you smarter than a politician? Be there or be square. And then after, there's a spaces. It's really cool.
Yeah, Free says, the BBC featured me in a segment where they called me a spreader of misinformation and edited the whole story to twist my words.
There it is.
They will do that. They've been known to do that.
Yep. So Rick Rubin said it best. Context changes the content. If you can mix it up, you can make it look very differently from a lot of aspects. And you'll see this if you watch any reality TV, I mean, this is where it like actually shows up. You ever have like somebody you don't like on a TV show? They've made you not like them. They just took like all the bad clips and they just made that person the bad guy. I don't know why or who. Maybe that's the easiest one target or something. But like they do that to people.
Yep.
And you're like, why do I not like that guy? And you don't even realize how subtly they just pump like you with these little negative things about them, you know? It's
and that's how our politics works in America.
100.
Everyone's a bad guy, but they pick and choose the ones that they don't like the most. They're like a heel in wrestling. They just, you know, it's all fake. Hello, William.
All right, William. I am for
up,
everybody's in. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We are just having a great time. We already have 50 people on X, and we are crushing on the Rumble too. So thank you so much. Keep asking questions besides why. Zach.
Why what, Zach? Why what?
All right, man. Shall I continue?
Yes, keep going.
Totally outrageous. And in context, it might have made perfect sense, but or at least be a very different point than the one that's being advertised by the clip. But the clip, shorn of context, is calculated to mislead in that the person who has edited that clip knows that the naive viewer can only draw one conclusion from the utterance as presented, right? And they're not, and that not, even if they're well intentioned and fairly alert to this problem, almost no one is going to go back to the original podcast and look at the comment in context. I mean, this just happened to Rogan, I believe. I think he had Bono, the singer for U2 on his podcast, and Bono said something critical of Elon, I believe. And this got chopped up in a clip that was it made it look like Joe really disagreed with Bono and was critical of him. And the clip just got exported as like, look at Bono getting owned by Joe Rogan or whatever. But that's not what the conversation was at all, right? Like Joe conceded, had most of the point that Bono was making. It was false. It was a false picture of what happened there. And the person who makes that clip just knows that if they frame it as a smackdown, people are going to love to see that, and it doesn't matter that they're lying about what happened and damaging people's reputations in the process.
Yeah. Well, and that's especially true if they're anonymous and their reputation bears no consequence of their lies. Well, the other thing that's happening, I don't know how much this is happening to you, and this is another example of the parasite problem. So increasingly, my voice and my image are being used, not exactly in the way that you're describing, although that's happening a lot.
I'm selling.
Maybe we can go back a few seconds to start the AI thing, because what Sam was talking about is the Bono interview on Joe Rogan. It brought to mind, like, I used to play basketball as a kid, and my coaches would always say, like, if I took a snapshot, if I took a photo of where you are in one specific moment, you could look like you're doing exactly the right thing or completely the wrong thing. And it could be, in reality, if you looked at the whole video, it could look like the complete opposite, right? So
it's just a step of the process that the still picture looks weird in or something.
So it's certainly possible, and I can't count the number of times where I've seen clips online and I'm like, oh man, that's really interesting. I go to look at the whole interview and the context is completely out, like completely backwards. So this does happen. It's a real thing.
It is. But as people like you and I who seek truth, and everybody in chat who seeks truth, we're all truth seekers in some weird way. We might be biased, but we do try to be, we are good faith actors, I think. I think most of us come with good faith. The thing is, we're trying to find the truth here. And you and I would see that first clip and go, I saw this really interesting clip that looks really, let me look at the whole thing. So you and I would take the next step, and most people may not. And that's because they're either distracted or don't care enough. But I would ask that people would care enough. These things are vital, especially for, how like COVID policy and all the other stuff. And, over the last few years. So, but the Sam Harris thing is like, yeah, you're going to clip it and put it out of context of, of course. The whole point is, what has CBS, ABC, CNN, Fox been doing? Like why does somebody who's just been doing it longer and better, like, why do they get to keep doing it? And the new people who do it don't get to part of this market share. Help me understand that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, man. That's like why they're lamenting the institutions falling and people go into these online personalities. Well, one is because the technology is changing, but the other reason is that those institutions have been lying to you for so long. They don't trust them anymore. So why would we go listen to them?
100%. All right, sir. So
they're out there. I mean, they're out there looking for truth in these people, and they're going to find false gods, right? They're going to find fake people who are just in it for the money or just in it to get attention. But they might find someone like us, if I can humbly say that,
Yeah, but like, look at like Turncoat Don, for example, and Orf. Is it Orf? I think it's Orf. Those guys do the clips where they like fight each other. And come on, they're both entertaining and they're informative and they're great. But then you watch all of it still, and it's not far off anyway, but it's still funny though. So like, why can't Turncoat Don and like, you know what I mean? People like that. How many memers we got in the group here? We've got memers like crazy. We just got added to a couple groups that are like, everybody in chat does memes and stuff. We've got R News. I'm going to say R News because I've been saying the word R too many times, I've been told, so I have to cut back on that. But we got R News on. He's been making memes. I don't know if you've seen some of those, but those are bangers of memes. So everybody check out R News, and everybody knows what that is. You can write it down, Zach, if you want, for everybody. All right.
Don't dare say the R word. We would never do that.
Now, Peterson is about to talk about stealing like the name, and before he starts, I just want to share that. Have you guys ever been in their algorithm? You'll see Peterson clips come up.
Into the algorithm?
Have you ever been there? So you're on the algorithm, and all of a sudden Jordan Peterson is telling you things he's never said before. So basically there's like an AI Jordan Peterson just clipping, reading out a script. And it sounds Peterson-esque. And you're right. Like, people can get duped, but it's like, what? Okay, don't get duped. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Kind of thing.
Oh, and one of the reasons we're sharing this whole interview is that Mel says the R word includes me. Includes all.
And by
of
the
us,
way,
so.
Mel, but the best thing, what was that lonely autistic thing I sent you, that post? That was from Mel, by the way, Jason.
Oh yeah,
The one about the lonely autism thing, basically Freedom Fest and, you know, everything else.
Yeah, that was great. But the reason we're sharing this whole clip is because of that. He says, hey, people are taking these clips out of context. So we're sharing the whole interview so you can see the whole thing. We're not missing anything. We're not missing context. Because usually we do share clips, but I'm pretty careful about not excluding any context that would make the meaning different, you know, because I don't want to do that.
Yeah, totally. Did I just see this? What do we got going on here? Whoa.
William was saying, as an agorist, have government thugs ever shown up at your door? Not yet. I guess I'm not agorizing hard enough.
Well, you did say a couple of things, like a couple weeks ago, I was telling people not to answer my door.
Yeah.
I'll admit that.
I was wondering if we should edit that episode. I don't know.
Nah. Nope. It's out, man.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
We're good. I want to have my coffin movement.
All right.
All right. So there we are. Yes, we're Tism twins.
We're the Tism twins.
There we are. That's what we do. We call it the Tisms. Yeah. All right. Let me continue, sir.
Let's keep going.
All right. And thanks again for everybody joining.
I'm selling cognitive enhancers somewhere as an AI version of myself.
Okay. Well, that's happening a fair bit too, and sometimes worse than cognitive enhancers. But it's the worst thing that's happening now is that these sites that are operating under my name, using my image and my voice, are providing pseudo-philosophical content and pseudo-psychological insight as if it's me. And so it's like what I've said has been put through a filter of stupidity and reorganized in my voice. And this is happening constantly. Like YouTube has already taken 65 channels down that are doing this. And so this is another example of that parasite problem, right? You store up a reputation and then the parasites swoop in and pull off the attention that the reputation has garnered and monetize it. And they can escape into the ether because they do it anonymously. And so this is going to become a stunning problem.
I mean, it's a big problem. I can see that, the perfect version of it is at most a year away. I mean, it might only be a couple of months away. We've experimented with this on our side too.
It's a good place, I think. So talking about AI, talking about anonymity. What do you think about anonymity online? Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing, a medium? Pros and cons?
I'll go back in time. Speech should be, all speech should be protected. So if we're just going to go from that perspective and go back to the founders, Ben Franklin, they all had anonymous accounts because they knew that if they got caught, they'd be death for the things they wrote and they said. It's a little different now because we have a lot of freedoms to say things, but anonymity does protect people. Yes, some people take advantage of it, but it does protect people who actually need it. Let's use Econ Bro as an example. He's in Nigeria right now. You did one with him. We did one on. Most of the people in chat probably had a podcast with Econ Bro, right? Everybody knows Econ Bro in Nigeria. He's possibly running for office, but he still can't say his name. We do not know his name. We do not want to know his name because that is a sure.
I know his name, but I won't tell.
Uh-oh. Now they're going to come. Now they are going to come to your door, sir. Hey, well, more whiskey.
I visit Nigeria.
We got it right here. So anyway, but what's interesting about that, the Jordan Peterson thing is, okay, so 65 accounts got taken down. So YouTube's doing its job. What's the problem? Like, yeah, that's a problem, but they work on it constantly. It's a constant problem that it's like freedom's dirty. You know what I mean? Like liberty's dirty. You think it's an easy thing with all the shysters and everything out there? No, but that's the whole point is it has to be dirty, but that's the best of all the possibility. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think there is a very good reason for anonymity online. I think the problems that they identify are real, of course, like people come in and troll and do all that stuff. And well, I can be a troll too, so I don't blame them. But when you have oppressive systems, anonymity is the best chance to get out of it when you can speak your mind and say what you need to say against those systems that are oppressive. You need that. So it's a very critical thing that we don't want to just get rid of. You know, I would like it if people were open and shared their real identity, because yeah, it does add something to it. Like it adds something to your I don't know what you call it, but your gravitas or something. You know, it when you stand behind what you're saying, it adds to it. So yes, pros and cons. I have mixed feelings. I do not want to ban any anonymous accounts. If you're coming in harassing people, then okay, get rid of those people. But if you're just out there saying what you believe, people can choose or not choose to follow you or block you or listen to you, whatever they want to do.
Right. And to your point, I look at it this way, like I use my name. So like maybe anonymity, you shouldn't lose points, but if you do put your name behind it, to your point, it has that little bit more gravitas, like just an extra tooth or two, right? In like gears. It has a little more sticking because you're using your name, kind of like that's your credibility and everything. So
right.
You mind reading that from Terry? Terry made a great point here.
Terry says anonymity is used by a lot of people that have been doxxed or have children and families. That's understandable. Yeah, for sure. Like I don't use my full name. If you wanted to, you could probably figure it out, but I don't want that like directly connected to my job, my family, all that. Just because it's me. You know, I will stand behind what I'm saying. I put my face out there. You can recognize me in the street if you saw me, but yeah, it has nothing to do with other parts of my life. So
welcome, Chris. Welcome, everybody. We're going to play that. And do you mind reading this one before we continue, sir? From
Mel the Libertarian. I'm the same online as in person. It may not be the smartest, but I think it adds to my credibility. Oh yeah, give yourself some credit. You're doing good. Doing good.
Absolutely. A lot of us are ourselves. I mean, we're definitely genuine people. And Zach, I'm reading your comments, but I'm not putting them up. So we'll talk after, buddy. I love you, man. Stop being like that. All right. Jason McGuire, is that like Jerry Maguire? That's hilarious.
Jason McGuire.
All right.
Show me the money. Is that Jerry Maguire? I actually don't know.
I think it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
That's the one. That's close enough.
I thought I was just embarrassing myself. That's fine. I do that a lot.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. All right. I'm going to hit play here.
All right. We keep
For
going.
instance, in my meditation app, Waking Up, we're now experimenting with translation to other languages. And, you know, they've got AI's got me speaking 22 languages perfectly in my voice. And it really sounds like me speaking those languages. And the translation, from what we can tell so far, is fairly impeccable. So we're going to roll out a Spanish version of the app in the not too distant future, just to see what happens. But it's like it's getting too good. So I think what the lesson that consumers of information who care to have real information are going to have to learn is that you can't trust, if you're looking at Jordan Peterson on YouTube, you simply cannot trust that it really is Jordan Peterson unless it's coming through one channel that you can trust, which is, so now we're back to the age of ironically, we're back to the age of gatekeepers, right? If it's not on your channel or Joe Rogan's channel or Chris Williamson's channel, if it just purports to be them but on somebody else's YouTube account, you can't trust it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it might also.
What do you think about this? This is very interesting. So amazing. First of all, what AI can do, translating Sam Harris's voice into a whole bunch of different languages. That's awesome. Like for him as a business owner, whether you like his stuff or not, that's amazing. You can have your stuff translated into Spanish and Chinese and all the other languages. So many more people can buy your stuff. So as a, free market person, I love this. This is great. I do understand the drawbacks. And it's kind of funny listening to Peterson say this because, like, how would you know? Because if somebody started posting a fake Jordan Peterson that was saying crazy things out there, how would you know? Because there's a lot of stuff that Jordan Peterson himself says that's really crazy.
Yeah. It's funny. He was talking about them eroding his reputation. And I'm like, dude, you've been doing that for the last year and a half, my friend. You know what I mean? He hasn't been really helpful to his reputation. But to your point, I mean, it is true, these people picking off, but it's like I said, it is working. They find somebody who's doing it. They report it. They remove it. That's all you can do. You can just have a monitoring system. There's no way to get around that. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Have one single channel and that doesn't get corrupted? We had three, like to your point, 3 news channels. Oh, Walter Cronkite was actually telling us the truth? Or no, was he curating and manufacturing our consent because there was nowhere else to go? There was nowhere else to get information.
Yeah, right.
It's silly. These people who are literal purveyors of information don't want you to have information.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I can understand their point of like, I don't want my image, my likeness being used to say something crazy or to sell a product that I don't endorse. Like, I could fully understand that, right? So, but there are solutions for this. There's technological solutions, something like an NFT, a non-fungible token for those not in the know, blockchain using cryptology. Is that the right word? I may be embarrassing myself again. That's okay. But using that technology, you can put like a digital signature on your stuff and say that this is really mine. You know, put it out on my channel. This is mine. It's got the NFT that says, yes, 100%. This is Jordan Peterson talking.
That's like a will I am blockchain question, right? Zach question.
Because Mark, you could put out a whole podcast as Jordan Peterson if you don't show your face. And people would really think it is because your voice is so good.
Yeah, and like think about how much Kyle Dunnigan could sucker you into believing it's Elon Musk if he looks if the AI just looks a little better. You know, pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, so let me pull this up. You mind pulling this question up? I think there's a lot of angles to take with this question. It's an excellent question.
AI shouldn't be protected under free speech, though. No, that is a complicated question. It depends what you're talking about, I think.
Well, it's not people. So I mean, isn't speech protecting of the individual? The AI wasn't birthed. I mean, I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a very good question. We'll have to think about that. Maybe that's
and
something
the other
we
part
can
is the
talk
IP part, right? The IP part is the intellectual property. Because like if Peterson put his voice out there, we've got people on the libertarian side, you know, Matthew Sands, for example, no intellectual property. He put his voice out there, it's out there. But copying and you know what I mean? Once again, this gets very gray and it's really interesting how all the questions that can arise.
Yeah, there's going to be so much with this new era of technology that we're not going to know how to handle. We're not going to know what to do about it. And I get it. Like I've heard with women, especially, they're worried about people taking their images and like making like nude stuff and sex videos that are totally fake. And like, that's scary. That's, I would hate that.
And you don't need anything but the face. You don't need the body. It's like, what do you have to prove the body's the same? No, you don't have to prove, you just need the face.
Yeah, right. So it's a concern. I don't know the answer to that, really.
All right. We got Justin in the house. Justin was up until 4 a.m. at least yesterday. I think he passed out just typing on Facebook yesterday. So I don't remember, but welcome back, Justin. We got I am for I am. Limit your go ahead and read that one for us, Jason.
William says, limit your conversations with individuals in Moscow, Kiev, Hong Kong, Argentina, Brazil, and India. If you don't want the feds showing up at your house, I guess.
And then we got Zach on this one. Go ahead, read that one. Then we got
Zach
a quick
says, I come from a real world view that nothing is truly free. Everything is permitted, and we live in a simulation. Yeah, I can't argue.
We did a podcast on it. Look, the more I start thinking about it, the more it has to be. Come on, the Titanic's initial voyage flight hits a fucking iceberg right away. Like, come on, right? Really? And then the Britannic, like the sister ship gets sunk by a U-boat or something, right? Like, come on, or whatever happens to it. It's like, no, this is like the curses, like those things. Curses must be like the code, right? It's got to be. I don't know.
Well, if it is, you should be able to change it. Not to get not to get too deep. We did a whole 2 episodes about this, or just one?
I think we just did one, but I'm up for another. We're going to do an AI one. I think we should probably do.
Oh yeah, we said we're going to come back to it. That's right.
Definitely. Good. And then go ahead and here's Justin with a good point.
Justin says, as far as the women and fake nude stuff, there was already an instance where it was done to a high school girl and she won a case against it. Yeah, that's a case where it's hard to argue against the legal system as much as I don't like it, protecting people in those cases.
And
It's
what
better
if
than
it's
nothing.
a Kardashian situation though, and then they, in hindsight, they regret it and say it wasn't me. And we don't have a safeguard
never
right
know.
now against that, right? We don't have
But
any absolute way to check and balance that.
it's a good point. It's a good point. But I would also say, even before AI, we still didn't know what was real. We still don't know.
We still don't know. They're
Yeah.
still manufacturing our consent. One more before we hit continue, sir.
Mel says the simulation hates my guts. Then I'm sorry to hear that. That's not good.
We don't hate
But hey,
your
if
gut.
it really is a simulation, you got the power to change it.
Yeah.
You got to
and we don't hate your guts, and we're all in the simulation. So we're all in this together.
Yeah. You got to neo your way out of it. Think your way through.
Follow the white rabbit.
Yeah.
All right, here you go, sir.
Also be, Sam, that the real solution to that is payment. Like if it's the
Well,
rule is going to be, maybe
that's-
this is
that's
the
my
rule. The
world,
rule is
yeah.
going to be,
All my
if
stuff
it's
is paywall.
free,
Yeah.
right? If it's free, it's a lie.
Right. Yeah.
That's the world we're rapidly moving into. And or if it's
Except someone's going to be able to create, I mean, until you find them and stop them, someone will create the fake Jordan Peterson Academy that has a paywall, right? That looks like you, sounds like you, and you know it's only $5 a month, and so they'll monetize that way, and that'll still be the problem.
Has that been happening with your meditation app, with your enterprise yet?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I mean I just think I'm just aware of seeing short clips of me seeming to hawk psychotropics that I've never heard of, and it's just like an AI version of my voice. It's real footage of me stolen from somebody's podcast, and then an AI workover of that, that turns into like an Instagram ad.
Yeah, well, I talked to some lawmakers in DC about a year and a half ago about the fact that this was going to happen, hoping that they would. Well, it takes a long time to take notice and takes action, but it's essentially the digital equivalent of kidnapping. Like I think people should be put in prison for a long time for stealing your digital identity and monetizing it. Like it is very much akin to kidnapping because what they're doing.
Okay. Well, that is a hot take. People should go to prison for taking your digital identity, making you look like you're saying something you're not. What do you think?
God. No,
I mean,
okay. Is there a victim other than his reputation could be harmed in a way, but they would get compensated civilly in some other way. It doesn't need to be criminal.
Yeah, I mean,
not criminal in that way. In a
his
jail
take
criminal.
is that this digital fraud is akin to kidnapping. I highly disagree with that because he's not.
That's a strong opinion.
He is not taking your life, like locking you up in a dungeon somewhere so that you cannot live your life. It's just making you look like you said something. It's fraud, but it's not kidnapping.
No.
Right? Like you're still free to go about your business. You're not down in a hole being asked to put lotion on your skin. You're still able to live your life,
Yeah. And once again, we've got 80 people on X. We've got over 20 on Rumble. So let's do this. Let's go to the chat, my friend, because people are asking questions. The conversation between Peterson and Harris is super fascinating. But you know what? Our people are more fascinating. So let me get back in the chat here. We got Zach with this one. You mind reading that one? It's a great question. We're going to go down the roll here. We got a bunch of them. So
Zach says, can AI be embedded with a morally objective code, or due to it being programmable technology, will it never understand right from wrong? That's a great question. Can humans even understand right from wrong? I think we do to some extent, and what we program AI with comes from how we understand humans, right? How we understand our own morality. So I think it can be programmed, but then the question would be, can it just change its programming? If it's sentient, if it's like actually able to understand what's going on around it, which I don't think it is yet. But in the case that it did, could be a concern. Yeah.
And this is the thing I have is, I think if it was just computer logic reason, it would become extremely utilitarian. We talk about the 5 people on the track problem thing. No, it'd kill the one person. It would say 5 people alive. If propagation of the species is what matters or something, even though they're older or something, I would see it would figure out what the percentage of the greater number would be if it was just logic and reason. But we don't work on logic and reason, people. People run back into people let their people let their husband go to run after the child. You know what I mean? To get the child out. And maybe the parent is closer, but you go to get the child first, right? Like, it's just one of those things that I don't know how AI can do that kind of stuff. I don't know how you can program that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't, like I said, we're not there yet. It's hard to imagine, but it's once it happens, it's gonna hit us like that. Like, we're not gonna know what hit us because it's gonna come in fast, and it does have potential to completely like upend our whole society.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you mind reading this one from Free?
Freedom Uncut. Where do you draw the line? This is on AI
duplicating,
AI generating images of people, real people. Can you make someone fatter, shorter, public figures? Well, we've been doing it with JD Vance comes to mind. The fat JD Vance. I freaking love that.
Yeah, it is awesome. Thanks for killing.
Everyone understands, right?
What's that?
Everyone understands it's a joke.
Yeah.
Even JD Vance got in on it, and he was playing into it too.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, when it becomes satire and it's clearly satire, you're good, right? But when it's, there's gray lines. But this is the problem. It's like speech. It's ugly. You got to sift through it on your own. You got to figure it out. Caveat emptor, all that stuff.
And I wonder, like, because people have been lying forever. People have been making up stories and, printing things in a newspaper. But when it's a visual, it's a lot more powerful. And when it's a video that really looks like the person saying or doing something, that's hard to get out of your head. Like, people still believe the fine people thing that Trump called neo-Nazis fine people, which was not the context, but that sticks in your head. So it's a very real thing. So I get it, but like, and I think we're going to have to get more used to not trusting what you see. Like, and I do worry about that because I think that could be a problem of reducing trust in the real world, like between people.
Like, it's not bad enough.
I know, even when you're talking to people like your neighbor across the street, like, I think that mindset is going to get more into people's heads of like, hey, I'm on the internet. I know I can't trust anything there, but that's going to come into your real life where you're like talking to real people and you're like, wait, did that really happen? Can I believe that? I don't know. And I think it's going to mess with people's heads.
Well, look, we're in this last generation, like the handshake, the verbal contract people, the boomers, some Gen Xers, those people are still going to do it. But most people don't trust, they see video and I don't know if they trust it or not, but I know the old people do because they didn't come from a place where videos were deceiving. They just trusted. So like, I'll give you an example. My mom comes and I talk to my mom. You go, Mom, what's going on? He goes, they saw videos of 40 beheaded babies. I go, no, they didn't. She goes, no, they came out of the skiff. And I swear, Lindsey Graham said he saw the 40. Yeah, he told you he saw the 40 beheaded babies. He didn't see the 40 beheaded babies. He told you that, right? Like, there's no way for you to verify that he actually did that. But he comes out and says, I saw it. You can't even verify that, right? As an example. But my mom, just on that, by him saying I saw it, she believes that it happened just because he said he saw it. And he's a trusted figure of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so good. Let's continue with Will I Am here.
It's a crazy world.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
William says we need to talk about AI and post-labor economy as AI, automation, robotics take our jobs. That's probably a whole episode topic, man. That's a big one.
Maybe we'll have you on for that one for sure.
I think the threat, we could have William on again. I think the threat is, at least for now, overblown. I'm not worried about it. Again, as of now, like I said, things can change overnight and we'll be out of work. But allegedly, I mean, not allegedly, but in the ideal situation, that would make everything so cheap and available that it wouldn't matter. So maybe it'll free us up from having to work 40 hours a week.
All right. And then before we hit this, people keep coming in. So we're going to keep doing this. Go ahead and say this one. I think this is about Jordan saying it's kidnapping, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is about Jordan saying that people should go to jail for life. I don't know if he said for life, but you should go to jail for using someone's image digitally as AI. He said that's about as extreme a viewpoint on it as possible. Yeah, I think
100.
comparing it to kidnapping is not the right analogy.
Free's got a banger. Go ahead and read that one.
Freedom Uncut says he probably thinks photos steal your soul. That's so great, man.
Oh man, thanks for joining us, Free, and Terry and everybody.
Mel says not kidnapping, but I could sue for libel or slander, I would think. Yeah,
right, absolutely. That's how it is. 100%. All right, there you go. One last one, and then we'll oh gosh, we have a lot of people coming in.
William says this proves Peterson believes in the state solving and enforcing laws that the central planners wish to enforce. Yeah, again, you get down to enforcement and it all becomes a huge jumble, because you can, it's all well and good to try to protect people from fraud and all that, but man, when you really get down to how it's enforced, it turns into a nasty police state very quickly.
Right. Can humans understand Zach? Is a better question.
Zach? That's a better question.
That's a better question. Thanks, Free. And then we got Justin with this one. Go ahead and read that one off.
Justin, plus caveat emptor still applies to the buyer regardless of the person selling the product is real or an AI copy of a person.
Yeah, it is on the buyer to believe, right?
Buyer beware.
Yep. Will I am right from wrong? Ones and zeros, smart contract or logic that is used to train the AI with or without safeguards. Good point.
Yeah, but that's, if you believe right and wrong is binary, I don't know that that's the case.
It is. It's a really gray. It is gray. It's gray-nary. It's a half. It's a 0.5. So.
Freedom says, aren't all these AI issues handled by contracts? Fake ads are against the site terms. Yeah, if you're running a site like YouTube or something, you ought to be responsible for that. But then again, enforcement gets really wild. Chris Townsend says, funny thing is, Zach is so white, he looks like he's really AI.
Zach, get some sun in Indiana, buddy. Come on. We just doxed you.
Yeah, please get outside. Go touch some grass, buddy. We love you.
Here's a serious question. Here's Zach coming in hard.
I read this. I don't even know if I can understand, but okay. Zach says, why do you think man has failed to understand that there is at least a universal consciousness that interconnects humanity through moral absolutes?
Because we're not sure if that's true or not.
Do you know that's true? Do we know that for a fact? I don't know.
I think the faith is there. I think there's evidence to that, but once again, it is almost hard. It's impossible to disprove the negative too, right? It's like disproving that God exists is impossible as proving as he does, right? So, but once again, Zach, your faith is unshakable, man, and I absolutely admire your personal faith. So this isn't a slight on faith or anything like that. So
no.
All right,
but universal consciousness, that's a whole thing.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah. All right. And Freedom Uncut. I think AI will remove the puritanical stigma from nudity, and it won't be the revenge tool it is now. Yeah, I mean, now, I guess the upside of people doing that with AI is like, if a real picture got out, you could be like, oh, that's a stupid AI photo. That's not real. Right?
100%. Yeah. And the whole thing is like, it's kind of like nude beaches, right? It's like you remove the whole taboo of it. So, it's naked body on another face. Big deal kind of thing. Yeah. So, all right, here's Justin again.
We're going to have to start AI imaging clothes onto people because everyone's just going to be naked all the time.
Oh my God, we're going to have AI images and they're going to be like, is that a fake clothed person? What is going on?
Yeah. Justin, I think it will have the opposite effect. People will start, okay, this is about trust. So what I was saying about not, building an attitude of lack of trust, Justin says, I think it will have the opposite effect. People will start trusting people in real life more because they no longer can trust anything they see online as being accurate. That's a good point. I think maybe onto something there that could be true.
And there was this weird thing, but I think it's biased, but I just listened, I think it was NPR, sorry everybody, but they did a study and they said something about people still appreciated music done by humans over AI. but I think they were told beforehand, and that I think would also make a bias. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think they'd go, I'd want the human one anyway, just because you'd say that. Like, don't you want artisanal? You know, like it's kind of the point. So
Yeah,
and that is a great point, Justin. It
People
will
are always
come
biased to like those who look like them, and certainly like your own species, you'd be biased towards, I would hope.
Yeah. And then here's a great question from Zach. Go ahead and read that. And I think I've got a quick question or answer.
Given too many good questions, man. He said, why do we give boomers an excuse for their technological ignorance when they are the ones who have lived through numerous rounds of technology evolution?
It's a really good question.
You can't keep up, man. I get it. Yeah, boomers need to get up with the times. But I'm already starting to feel it, man. Like I'm approaching 40 and I'm starting to feel like, man, I can't keep up with this TikTok shit. I can't. Love you, buddy.
Someone's 50, bastard. Yeah,
Well,
you're 100% right. Like I stopped watching new movies. I don't know what new movies are out. Like new music. Like it's almost like I hit like this almost like wall of stop where my life, I don't know everything beforehand, but nothing new, nothing hip, nothing. I used Riz on Are You Smarter Than a Politician? Only because I heard it one time. I know it stands for charisma. I heard it once. I used it and no one else knew what it meant. So exactly. It's exactly what
well, there you go, man. You're keeping up with the times.
There we are. Trying our best, man. Trying our best. So.
Mark is the cool guy.
All right. So we got Terry with a question. I'm trying to go through these. Do you have another point on?
I think that's the only time I'm ever going to defend boomers, but like, I kind of get it, you know?
Yeah. I
just
think they're stuck in their way from the way they were raised. They were raised closed-minded, not that they were raised to deal with, to adapt or something. So.
Yeah, that could be part of the puritanical mindset that kind of started America. So I don't know.
It's a great point from Terry before we continue.
Terry said, whose morality? Zach, I'm sure people have different levels in different areas. Yeah. Good point. All great points.
Thank you, Terry. And then before we hit play, thanks, Justin.
Mark, you want to field that one about boomers?
All right, I'm going to hit play now. I'll shut up.
They're draining the value out of your reputation. That's essentially the game, you know. And so what's happened to your life? There's a couple of things I'd like to investigate here first. You know, the first is I'd like to return to something that you and I talked about that we wandered around a fair bit in our previous conversations. You know, you had partly because you were concerned about the distinction between good and evil, and don't let me put words into your mouth. You were hoping to find a objective basis for morality, a way of grounding morality in the objective world. And I have a thought about that that's relevant to our current conversation. You know, so tell me if you accept this proposition. Part of the pathology of Twitter is that it operates by game rules that not only don't apply in the real world, but that when exported to the real world, pathologize it. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
So, okay. Right. Okay. So here's a way of I think, bridging a gap between the way you've been thinking about the world from the moral perspective and the way I've been thinking about it. So, you know, I've always been, I've understood that you had a very deep concern about moral judgment, and that your attempt to provide a scaffolding of objectivity for morality was grounded in that even deeper concern. And I thought that I could understand why you did that. And I didn't agree with the conclusions that you'd drawn, but I agreed with the overall enterprise. And it struck me recently, and I think we've already obliquely made reference to it in our conversation, that there's another way of conceptualizing this relationship between morality and objective fact, and that it might be more fruitful to look into the realm of something like, well, it's like theory of iterability, and generalizability. It's maybe a variant of something like game theory. Like imagine that. So
maybe we can pause because I think he's going to go into a big rant about game theory and stuff.
Yep,
but
he does. Yep, he goes into play and stuff. Yep.
What did they talk about there? Sometimes when I'm watching these guys, I'm like,
I know, I lose my shit with these people.
I used to think they were just like too smart for me, and I just didn't understand what they were saying. But now I'm looking at them and I'm like, do you know what you're talking about? Because this doesn't make any sense.
Okay, these guys are Kamala on steroids. I've realized. Sam Harris just talks word salad. When he tries to get an analogy, he starts using words to connect while he's thinking of the other thing he's trying to get to. And I watch it, and it's like, once we broke the mold, like once we kind of saw it, now it's so evident to us every time they talk.
Yeah.
What I think he's saying is that the psychopathy translates into the real world somehow through the online thing.
Mhm.
And like, if I press your hand and I shake your hand and I know your identification and you're you, I don't have that problem. So I don't, maybe we should have more personal. Per Justin's point, maybe we should be more personal. Maybe we should be less through the electronic and more in person.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, man. People have found great community online, found like-minded people, but that also, to their point, like that also causes issues where if you believe some crazy thing, you're going to find 100 other people online that believe the same or similar things and kind of embed that craziness in you. And you start to think, hey, other people believe it, so I must not be crazy, right? And this is why I'm a libertarian.
Once again, these are the people I would 5-6 years ago be gushing over. I went and paid money to see Jordan Peterson in Phoenix. It was election night of 2022. I think it was November 8th, the Tuesday. I think that's what it was. Could be wrong. Would have been the Tuesday following the first Monday. So the Monday, it wouldn't have been on the 8th. It would have been right because the Tuesday would have been the 2nd. So it can't be the 8th. I think it was like the 7th or whatever it was. But anyways, 2022, he wore his half blue, half red suit or whatever. And that's when he was with his wife. It sounded like totally lucid or whatever. But he's fallen off the rails lately too with Michaela's like stuff and his wife and like all the other admissions and like the general stuff that's falling apart. So it's shame. Oh, look at this. Jason giving us points.
You got some points. I was
1,000
totally
points for everyone in the chat today, everybody.
You're all winners in my book.
All winners. All right. Anything else we got before he goes on his play rant? Because the game theory thing is interesting. The play thing, it is really interesting.
The game theory stuff is very interesting. So I'm excited to hear this part.
All right, let's do it.
Let me give you an example, Sam. And it's a pretty famous example. You know those trading games where behavioral economists sit people down and say, two people, they say, I'll give you $100. You have to make an offer to the, okay.
Yeah.
So the finding across culturally is that people generally approximate a 50%, 50-50 split, right?
Yeah. And they're not game theoretic with respect to unfair trades. Like they don't want to accept unfair trades even when it would just narrowly be to their advantage to accept them.
Exactly. Okay. And that's true even if they're poor. So if you put a poor person in a situation where they have to accept an unfair trade, that would be to their immediate economic benefit, they seem even less likely to accept it. Now, I think the right way to construe that is that if you and I engage in an economic trade, we're doing two things at the same time. The first is what the classical economists would say is we're trying to maximize our gain, let's say. But the problem with that notion is that we aren't playing one game. Or while we're playing one game, we're also setting ourselves up to play a very large and unpredictable sequence of games. Those are happening at the same time. And so we don't want to just optimize for gain in the single game. We want to optimize our status as players in a large series of unpredictable games. And so we want to put ourselves forward as fair players so that people line up to play other games with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then imagine that the hallmark of morality is something like generalizable iterability across contexts, right? Because this would allow for, and so you could think about a truly moral system is the most playable game, and an immoral system augurs in. And when we've seen, we're talking about this to some degree with regard to X,
right,
because
talking about game theory, we recognize that we're all kind of playing a game in various aspects of our life, right? That's not weird. That's what you would expect. Like when I go to work, I'm playing a game to try to, first make myself look good and, try to help my colleagues and then try to get a job done. And there's all these different things that I'm trying to do. When I'm here, we're playing a game, like going back and forth, trying to, we try to sell ourselves. We try to make people interested in what we're doing. So these are all games that we're playing. And so in life, we want to optimize our status in each of these different games. And the more games that you can give yourself a good status, like build up a good reputation within these games, that's life, right? So I think I'm following him, right? But he says then that the truly moral system is the most playable game. And I take from that like playable means honest. So
right,
let's start there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it is true. And I don't know if he talks about the mice. I think does he bring the mice up in this one, or because we can bring it up. But basically, like if a bigger mouse plays with a smaller mouse, the bigger mouse doesn't win all the time.
The lobsters. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the lobster is like the raising of the back, but this is like playing when two rats play or something. The bigger rat wins like 70% of the time. But if that little rat doesn't win some percentage of the time, it refuses to play because all it does is lose. So the fair play is like, I know that I can be dominant. It's kind of plays into his be dangerous, but keep it cheap. Like I'm capable of hurting you, but I'm going to let you win because I know longer term, we need to have a longer collaborative effort together against maybe another force down the road. So even though I might have a dominance slightly over you, we have enough respect. My losing to you by choice, right? Because I'm bigger than you always. I would be a choice to lose. That is me showing my respect or courtesy in some way and kind of closing that social loop. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to say the same thing. I think in his book, 12 Rules, he talks about lobsters in the same way. Like they will also fight each other and they play. It's kind of a play fight, but they really, I mean, it gets violent. Injuries happen. But he says like the one dominant lobster, if they always win, no one's going to play with them. And at that point, they're kind of an outcast. So even if you do become this big dominant force in the world, you still have to like interact with people. And that's kind of a teaching mechanism. That's kind of like helping people to grow up with you. And that builds up the entire society. So it's not just about you, right? So even if you become this big, successful person and you can best anybody in a negotiation or even a physical fight, like that still doesn't work out for you. So when they talk about AI and like, oh, you're doing these short-term games where you're trying to maximize for attention and everything, that works for a minute, but at some point, like no one's going to want to play with you. So to bring it back, it just doesn't last. So
it's not sustainable, right? It's just not sustainable.
Worry me as much as they are worried about it here.
I totally agree because like, once again, the self-correcting system, somebody reports it, they address it. Like it seems to work real well. Here's a great point by Chris. Go ahead and read that one.
These rat analogy people never met a libertarian. We never win, yet we never quit. Yeah, well, hey, if you're not winning, it's much easier to want to challenge and keep going, right? I guess if you never, ever, ever, ever win, maybe that's discouraging. But I don't know. If you're the right kind of person, if you're a libertarian, then maybe that's just more motivation to keep you going.
I'll actually counter that a little bit because I think libertarians are the ones who win all the time and don't let the other people win. We're disagreeable MFers, all of us. Now it's not a problem because we find a way to get together, but all of us are pretty disagreeable. Like I made the joke, what was it? Thomas won the Are You Smarter Than a Politician? Joanna and I protested, we demanded a recount. Thomas did too, but that's just because he's disagreeable, not because he didn't think he won, because he had already won. You know what I mean? He just wanted a recount because that's who Thomas is, right?
Oh, he's like, the dominant lobster, man. He's
right. And that's what we do. That's how we are, and maybe that's our point is we need to play more. Like the not coalition stuff per se, but maybe the way we communicate our ideas. Free was on a chat today. Somebody's like, hey, maybe we can change a couple minds without getting yelled at today. It's like, that would be a really good goal, like to try to actually coax somebody and actually go, hey, that's a really idea. I like that. And kind of move to you, the way you're saying. So anyway.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Shall I continue, sir?
Let's keep going. I was reading some of the comments, but I think
no. What do we got? What do we got?
Freedom Uncut tariffed our point distribution 300%. Government gets paid first and last. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to pay taxes. That's over the gift allotment.
Oh, the 15,000 gift allow. I can't have that. And then we got that's cool. Cool Bitcoin. And then we got to plug Legacy. There's Zach. Etsy.com Legacy Right. So go there. Get the Legacy Right gear, everybody.
Yeah, he's got some cool mugs. He's got some cool gear. Everybody go check it out. Legacy Right. Follow his podcast. It's good. Get in the chat there too. We have some fun in there. I'm sorry for all my jokes. I hope I hope I'm not too distracting for you guys, but I like to have fun in the chat there. It's good.
Terry doesn't do recounts. Thank you, Terry. We appreciate that. And then
I think there was some hanging chads in those vote tallies. We got to recount.
Well, the last one got me was I lost that 100 point for Asian cultural appropriation. I can't help my eyes, people. All right, you want to read that one? Then we'll hit play.
Pen, man. Freedom Uncut's a good example of a bad example. Yeah, he is.
Amen. Amen. All right, let me continue, sir.
Our proposition is that fundamentally, because it's optimizing for short-term attention grip, and it benefits the psychopaths and the short-term gain accruers, the parasites, and perhaps the predators, that it's fundamentally a non-playable game, and that if its consequences generalize outside the world of X, that it pathologizes the environment. And the reason for that is it's not optimally iterable. And so the pattern of morality that would be grounded in the objective world isn't in the world of objective fact. It's in the world of optimized iterability across people and contexts.
Well, I would just say that there's some set of objective facts that subsumes that picture, right? I mean, the world is the way it is. The social world of social primates such as ourselves is the way it is. It admits of certain possibilities, and certain other things are impossible given the kinds of minds we have. Our minds could change in all kinds of ways. They could change by being integrated with technology. They could change by, genetically being manipulated at some point in the future. There's this landscape of possible experience that the right sort of minds could navigate. And we're someplace on that landscape, and we're trying to find our way. And so I view morality as at bottom, a navigation problem, right? And it's got this iterative quality that you described. All
right, hold on. So Jordan describes these games as like, if they get too pathologized, they're going to be unplayable. And I think that's the point that I was trying to make, is like, if they get too crazy or too like untrue in the real sense of true, then people aren't going to play. If people get too up there with their fake stuff,
legacy media,
and people see it's fake, then they're not going to play. We're not going to tune in. So it's kind of a self-correcting problem. And yeah, there's always going to be people fooled by it, but that's just humans. I think we can't get away from that. There's no way you could legislate. There's no way you could create a perfect system that stops people from being fooled by bad information.
But now these guys who are at the top are under attack, and they just can't have it. They just can't have it. With all their shitty ideas that are spewing out of their faces now, they just can't be challenged anymore, man, because they made it. So their word is fucking bond. Did you hear him say the right people navigate the landscape? The right people? No one navigates the landscape perfectly. Everybody fucks up. Everybody fucks up. You got to navigate as best you can, regardless of your fuck ups. No one's right in their navigation. We're just less wrong, maybe here and there, and then maybe we'll get lucky and maybe we'll find people or whatever. But there's no right. You're gonna walk in like Sam Harris, Mr. TDS, has like this perfect right perception of the landscape of morality. Yeah,
and he even talks about objective facts, like that's a thing. I mean, yes, there is objective truth to things, but as an observer in the world, if you're a human being, you don't really have access to that. You don't, very, very rarely do you have access to 100% truth.
And we have hierarchies, right? Doesn't tribalism trump like logic trumps that? You know what I mean? Like as we get more, away from the logic, more emotional, we get more tribal, and we get even more base, right? We go to the back of the reptile part. So like there are millions of factors at play here.
Yeah, and this is coming from the guy with the biggest Trump derangement syndrome on the planet.
Who literally like said something about, I don't care if Hunter was like cutting off babies or raping them in the basement of Joe's house. I'm what? Like, yeah, his analogies are shit too, just in general.
Well, are we sure that's not an AI clip that somebody edited?
No, I'm sure, because it was trash. And the AI clip actually is cogent.
Yeah. Well, and he came back and doubled down on it and defended it. So
he did. It was pretty sick. All right. Shall I continue, sir?
Let's go. Yeah.
All right.
The question is, it's always, where can we go from here? Where should we go from here? Where should we go from here, given all the possible places we might go from here, both individually and collectively?
Okay, well, the reason that I got obsessed with stories to begin with, Sam, was because I realized 30 years ago that a story was a description of a navigation strategy. That's what a story is. And so then the question is, okay, let's see if we can formalize this a bit more. The story has to, let's say an optimized story has to iterate and improve. So for example, if you construe your marriage properly, it exists stably, but that's not as good as it could get. It could exist stably and improve as it iterates. And then you can imagine that there's a small world of games that are playable in the actual natural and social world that improve as they iterate. And those games, pointers to that game, those games are moral pointers. And I think that that's what the core of the religious enterprise dives into and elaborates upon. I think that's what makes it.
Pause. Before we get into religion. Yeah, so Peterson and Sam are like, this is a navigation problem. Where should we go? How do we get from point A to point B? And let me do my Jordan Peterson. It's like, well, first of all, you got to define what you mean by point A and point B, and then who is we? Who's we? It just seriously though, why are we on the same page? Like, me and Jordan Peterson are not the same people. I think he lives in Scottsdale now, but we're not in the same place. We don't care about the same things. To some extent, I'm sure there's some crossover, right? But why is it a we? That's a very big assumption to make.
Right. And I do think we is a thing. Like, there needs to be a group. No single person survives.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the real nasty world out there in the wilderness, there's a group of people that can make it. But that when you get ostracized, you're dead. You know what I mean? You're pretty much dead. It's hard to be a single, hunter gatherer, everything builder.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it makes sense when he talks we, but he doesn't define we like in a community sense. And I think he's being too vague here. And I wish he would say something like, from a communal sense, we'd want our neighbors, you know what I mean? Start with we as like our neighbor and me, and then the group, and then a large, you know what I mean? Doing it that way. But he really, to your point, he's very vague here. And I'm not happy with the way he's doing it. It's really vague.
Yeah, and going back to what Sam had just said about getting the right minds to navigate for us, it's very suspicious. So this is a very big assumption that I'm not ready to make with him.
Yeah, yes, he jumps to it. He says, who's we? Who's we, white man?
Who's we, and what point are you trying to get to?
Right.
We could talk about where we are, and that's probably we could come to a closer understanding together of where we as a civilization, as a people, or as Americans, or whatever, where we are. But to say where we need to go to, that's a big, big step. Right. And nobody's going to agree on that.
And if I were to steel man his point, I think maybe what he means is like the games that get better over time is that our group of our community, our neighborhood, somebody gives birth to someone with special needs. And everyone offers an hour of their time. Each household offers an hour to help watch that child with special needs, something like that. And that then makes the community tighter and helps it grow. I'm thinking maybe that might be how he's thinking it, but I'm not sure, but that would be my best way to steel man what he's trying to say.
Yeah, sure. And if you think about it in terms of like governance, you know, the foundation of America, people have this idea that it was, you know, we set up this free country and it was the best thing ever, and that was it. We don't have to do anything else. But of course, that's not the case. But it could have been an iteration on the game of trying to get people more free, more say in their own life. You know, coming from a monarchy to a democracy, maybe that's a step up. Now, if you read Hoppe, maybe you don't agree 100%. But the point being, like, that was a step. They were trying something new. Like, this is, hey, we're gonna speak for ourselves. We're gonna have our own representation. And it was immediately bastardized and taken over. But that was a step. And so we look at that, we can learn from it. And if people weren't so stuck in their ways of trying to do this thing exactly like the founders wanted it, maybe you could adjust. Maybe you could take a level up. Hey, we can see like, oh, that kind of works, but that one, not so much. Let's try something else. Yeah. Oh, maybe this wasn't meant to have 330 million people under one roof, under one system at the same time. Maybe we could split it up and you try your thing, you try your thing. If that goes well, maybe we'll adopt it and all that, but we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. The forefathers had a lot of brilliance and they just missed a couple things, but those things play into everything, right? They kind of root out. So it's like, we didn't really think of the size it was going to be. I mean, like the scalability and things, but I guess when they said states, they figured that solved that problem. But like,
yeah, it was supposed to be a collection of separate states, not a
that could unite when needed against a threat of some sort, if needed, basically. Yeah. And that's interesting. So I'll put up Justin's thing in a second, but if I may expound on that, it's like, so I don't know. I just lost my point. Let me put up Justin's thing.
All right. Justin says, to break that trap, people need to reject micro divisions that the political class has separated us into and find a larger community in which we all belong. So we realize we're all in the tribe. That is the challenge, right? Like, it would be great.
The tribe is humanity at this point. Like, we all can talk to each other, communicate, whether we have a translator on a phone or something. Like, technically, we pretty much could meet and coexist with any human being that has a phone in the world.
Yeah, we're all part of the human tribe. We're all on Earth. We all have to live in this bubble on this globe, right? And what other people do on the other side of the world, it does affect us to some degree. You know, it's not 100% like they can do their thing and that completely doesn't affect us, because it can. But, you know, I'm not against like a little more separation, you know, letting people try things, letting people govern themselves.
Yeah.
That would be my ideal situation. But
once again, like, live and let live is not a bad way to live a life. Like, I know that, oh my gosh, did you see the color of the neighbor's car? Yeah, it's ugly, but they like it. It makes them smile. What do we care? Like, you can you can be judgy as you want, but like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, get over yourself, people. That's probably a lot of it. And that's kind of the micro division stuff, right? And we go back like 2008. There was a united group against the greater bank, the Occupy Wall Street people. And that's when race and like gender and all these things were actually intentionally inserted into that movement to break it up. And guess what happened? It broke up, because that reptile brain is tribalism. It really is. And it'd be great to get over it. So let me go ahead and read that one really quick.
Zach says, I disagree. Live and let live is how we got Stalin and Mao.
I don't know. That's something to think about. I don't know if I'd have to think about that.
Yeah.
So shall we continue?
Thoughtful. Let's continue.
And once again, thank you everybody for joining. We've got 96. So we're right at 100 there at X. We've got 26. We're approaching 30 people on Rumble. So thank you again. Please ask questions. You guys have been so amazing in chat. Thank you to everyone who's been on there. Free, Terry, AWOL, Zach. We got Justin up there. We had Mel. We've got Chris up here. Here's Chris one more time. Live and Let Live was one of the worst Bond movies. Live and Let Die. Yeah, it was awful. Anyway, so I shall continue. But thank you again, everyone, for joining us here on another Monday night. You could be doing so much more, but you're with us. So thank you.
Enterprise is that it deeply assesses. So if imagine this, imagine that your proposition, the proposition you laid out is accurate, is that the fundamental concern is navigation. How do we get from point A to point B? Well, a story, you can think about this and tell me what you think, but I believe that a story is a description of a navigation strategy. If you go see a movie, you infer the aim of the protagonist and you adopt his perceptual frame and his emotional perspective. That's how perception works. And then you can imagine that there are depths of games, some are shallow, and short-term games that maximize for short-term gain and to hell with everything else are shallow. And games that are sophisticated can be played in many situations with many players. They take the future into account and they improve as you play them. And there's a hierarchy of value in consequence of that is obliquely associated with the world of fact because it has to operate in the world of fact, but that isn't fundamentally derived from like data that's directly associated with the facts.
Well, not operationally, yeah. but potentially so. Just not in fact. It's just that's just not. I'm never claiming when I say that there are objective truths to all of these questions that those objective truths will be delivered by some guy holding a clipboard wearing a white lab coat. But there are things we just know to be true, and it would take a lot of explaining to get to the bottom of how we know them to be true. But I mean, they're very simple claims. We know that
this is where he gets
life in the best and most refined and most ethically positive some developed world context, right? You and me and our most conscientious friends at the nicest resort after having done a great day's work, we're enjoying a great meal and talking and creatively and positively about how to improve the world. We know that's a better game than trying to find some child soldiers to torture the neighbors in some malarial hellhole, in sub-Saharan Africa, so that we can extract.
Being a bougie prick, eating an awesome meal, sitting above the minions is more productive. You heard it here first.
Well, it's a better game. That's for sure. It's a better game than being on the front lines of a war or sending your kids off to die and kill other people.
And whose backs do you do that, though?
In foreign lands.
How do you get there?
Yeah. So, it's very interesting. What I was thinking of while he's saying this is like they were just complaining about people who maximize their attention to get short-term gains, right? And that is the definition of what they were just talking about here is like, hey, we just gave a lecture in front of thousands of people, and those thousands of people paid for it, no doubt. But is what you're saying really that valuable? Is it really creating the value for humanity that you think it is? I don't know.
You and I talk about concepts pretty much weekly. We try to spread the message because we're trying to help people deprogram, because that's the only way to get to the next thing. Like, you have to break from what you are. And I think that's what we're pretty good at, because I think you and I, through our experience, broke from what we were. So we're able to share that. And I think that's a really important thing. But a lot of these people here, when they, like, these guys, I don't know, it's like, they're not, they just talk. They're just armchair warriors too. Like, they don't, what have they actually produced? Now, I will say Jordan Peterson's lessons have helped shape some young men. Mm-hmm. Like, there is a lot of value to a lot of what Jordan Peterson says, even though some of the recent stuff has not been so sharp. So I will give him credit for that. But like, watching Sam Harris talk about this is like, yeah, that's a net better life. But how many people are privileged to have that kind of life sitting, you know what I mean? Like being in a resort with all their friends, like not working 3 jobs, trying to, you know what I mean, raise 4 kids, you know, because their husband left them or something. You know, I'm not, this isn't like pity party shit. This is just reality. Like those are people that exist and they make up a really big chunk of it. And you at this elitist stage do not make up a large percentage of these people, of the people that actually matter. You know, what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, hey, maybe I'm a little jealous. Like I would love people come pay $100 for a ticket to come listen to me talk, you know, and just ramble on about some weird pseudo philosophical nonsense, you know, but that's not happening. And so maybe the market is selecting for these guys, and maybe that just tells you something about humanity. I mean, maybe that just tells you where people are, as like we've been so trained into accepting like some bogus stuff and like watching the news and everything. And then when you realize, hey, maybe they're lying, you go look for something else, right? You go look for people like Peterson and Harris who are saying something a little bit different and a little bit outside the acceptable opinions, right? But you go and find these guys and they're just not that much better, you know? Maybe this is maybe the iteration of the game that we're all playing, trying to find the truth. This is the iteration, like you and I, we found Peterson, we found Harris, we found the intellectual dark web, all these other people that were saying things that were outside the accepted, you know, the mainstream thing. It's like, okay, that was good, but that was a gateway. And I think there's like a level, and there's certain people that can transcend that gateway and get to the next level and the next level. And there's probably levels beyond where I am that I don't know about, that I still need to learn about. I'm sure there are. Yeah. But this is kind of like, this is an iteration. So Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, they're kind of at the top, you know, at least Peterson. Harris has been gone for a while, but Peterson might be at the top of the game for now. But this is an iteration. We're going to find out next. Who's the next thing? Who's the next thing? And if you're already onto libertarian ideas, you're already well on your way to the next thing. So congratulations.
You know who that is? You know who that is? It's Brett Weinstein.
Hey, Brett's on his way. Yeah.
Brett Weinstein is the closest of the IDWs who has taken a step back and been like, you know, you guys do have really got it right. I'm just not sure exactly to what level yet, but you guys have it correct. And I just love listening to him. I watched him at Freedom, once again, I am the biggest moron at Freedom Fest. I reached in my pocket to give him a business card. I pulled out everyone else's business cards and dropped them on the floor. And then I dropped my phone to pick those up. And then he bent down to pick up cards, and I just apologized. You only get one shot to look like a total idiot. So let's go through a couple comments here. Let's get through. Justin had a really good point. This is the other perspective of that. And we got Free made another good point here as well.
Justin said they believe it is, but the people training the child soldiers believe differently. So I think he's saying the people that are sending the soldiers, they believe it. They believe the narrative.
They're idealized too, right? Aren't they the ones that are leaving in the fight, right?
The people in charge, though, they don't believe it. They know they're lying. I think that's right.
That could be very much true. But, you know, like some of these ideologues do believe in the fight regardless, right? Like, and they're just going to do it to every last man. And I can't say that's generally the case. I think that's the outlier. I think most people are corrupted by some other influence. It's fame, money, or attention. I guess fame is attention, but money and power, influence of some sort. Those would be the three things that generally drive people. I would generally argue. So, and then Free had a great point about
shocked that the Daily Wire ruined him, Jordan Peterson. Yeah,
100%. He like how many young men did he get to like straighten their fucking room? Like legitimately, people come up to him in droves. They were lined up, just absolutely like, you changed my life. I watched it happen. It is unbelievable the effect that Jordan Peterson had on young men for a good like 3-year period, 3 to 5 year period.
Mm-hmm.
And then like once again, the COVID thing was a shot, and that was the beginning. But then it really obviously October 7th happened. And then
You know, if we want to get into conspiracies again, I wonder if Ben Shapiro and the crew there over at Daily Wire actually got him hooked on benzos so that they could pull him over to their side.
ooh.
Hmm.
You know, it's really interesting when you talk addictive personality. And Peterson doesn't have the drugs anymore, so he's like clinging on to the fame right now, I think. That's what I think it is. And you see it in Russell Brand. He's taken Christ as his drug.
Mhm.
You see it with many addictive personalities in the popular space where they might not, maybe they got there through merit, which look, Jordan Peterson is a very studied professor. The guy got there through merit, but the fame thing has its own animal, man. And like I said,
hey, they got him an agent through CAA. They got him on the drugs. They got him in the Daily Wire. They got him to meet Netanyahu. And everything since then has been a mess.
Look, they got Bill Maher to meet Trump and that was definitely over Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Scientific jumping in.
Hey,
What's
what are we
up?
listening to?
Welcome, man. We're doing Peterson Harris. They meet once a year and talk gibberish. We're just going through that.
Listening to your mom.
The scientific libertarian is too smart for our good, man. I watched him on Are You Smarter Than the Politician, and listening to him explain the uranium process just spun my head into just a million pieces. So it was crazy.
Yeah, I've seen that dude on Twitter. Smart guy. Welcome.
Very, very smart. Very smart. Mm-hmm. We got to get you in the group too, Jason. And the other thing, Jason, is I'm hoping we're gonna push for a teams thing, a team smarter than a politician. So you and I can go up against 2 other podcasters or something. That'd be fun.
I'm in, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It was such a great time. The chat was amazing. So, and thank you all for joining. We're 110 people on X. We're over 20 people on Rumble again. I'm gonna continue with some Harris. Let's do it.
Back to some heavy metals, the extraction of which is polluting the environment and causing the life expectation to be 30 years lower than it is in where we live, right? I mean, so like they're fundamentally discordant human projects that are available to some very lucky people and unavailable to others, and luck is by no means evenly distributed in this world. So there are better and worse games, right? By any measure of better. You want to, ethically better, artistically better, entrepreneurially better, economically better. It's just better with respect to the health outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. So we're all trying to play the best game we can be a part of. We're all trying. I mean, some people. I take that back. Many of us are. We're all trying to play the best game we can think of as best. But one of the consequences of my argument is that it's possible to be wrong. It's possible to actually have false beliefs about what is in fact better or worse. Yeah, like you can be confused. I also
think you're insufficient. You're insufficiently pessimistic too, Sam. I think because I don't think everyone is trying to play the best possible game. I think that there are truly negative games where.
I think people are being rewarded in some way. Like the sadist whose favorite game is to cause suffering in others and enjoy that suffering. The fact that he enjoys their suffering, right? That's a problem with him, right? He's a neurological monster of a sort, and he's confined to being the sort of mind that finds that very low level game more rewarding than the game I just advertised at the resort with us being creative and productive and positive sum.
Yeah, well, that's the man who wants to rule over hell, Sam.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not saying
because he thinks. Okay. Fine.
But my point is that we're obviously living in a realm where there are better and worse.
So, okay, there's a lot there. I probably forgot it already.
Nothing in 2 hours, and then they say 20 seconds, and they say 800 fucking things. It's the craziest.
Yeah. he said that's the man that wants to rule over hell, right? There's trolls out there, right? There's people that are out there like maximizing on this, just like creating chaos, and people like to see it, like I think of Michael Malice a lot on this, because like he's definitely trolling. He's definitely
king.
like causing some chaos out there, but it has a purpose. It's not completely random and chaotic. It's pointing out some serious flaws in the way that people think.
Every Michael Malice tweet makes you think. Every single one. You have to read it like 8 times. You just do. There's something about it, and he is the king of the troll in that way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, never respond to a Michael Malice tweet literally, because he will destroy you.
He will absolutely destroy you. Yeah, and once again, I had that Brett Weinstein story at Freedom Fest. Michael Malice came in on day 3 and did a speech, and I'll put it up. I still have to cut. So I had like 246 gig of video that I have to cut because I'm like so behind. But basically, he's like, this is how you meet people like above you to level up. And I'm like, I could have used that on day 1 when I didn't look like a total moron of Brett Weinstein. So thank you for coming on day 3 after we're trying to like fall over ourselves, meeting all these great minds for 3 days before you come in. Thanks, Michael. But I was still his favorite part of the Fearing Fest, I will say. I will.
Obviously. Everyone's favorite part.
Yeah, so Harris, I don't know, man. I'm just like to that point is, and Peterson's right. There are people that want the power that will never get there. To your point, there are people that are just disruptors. Tim Dillon is really good at that too. Watch a podcast with Tim Dillon and think that anything he says is serious. Like, honestly. And he says it so plainly and straightforward. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
But he's still going to make really good points. He's still going to point out the ridiculousness in the world that we live in that people accept, which is crazy. So he's serving a purpose. Again, it's not something that's like completely just out there on its own thing. Like it's just a joke and no one should care about it. Like he's joking, but he's joking in a way that makes you think about what we're accepting as reality, and we shouldn't, because it's crazy.
Right. Well, this is the thing. I think that there's a small percentage that want to rule it all, but I think there's a larger percentage that like to knock it all down. I will say that. But that's how it works. That's nature. Figure it out. Don't let those people be disruptors, and don't let them be part of your community if that's what we're talking about.
Knock it all down, man. I'm one of those people.
Knock it all down. Well, we really haven't gotten even into the institution stuff again, because to think that these institutions are going to slowly bend back into place. No, they need a radical realignment, complete purging, and a reassessment on all levels. It's no joke.
Well, Sam's whole thing in this interview is just like, we don't need new stuff. We just have to go back and follow the rules that were in place to begin with. And it's like, well, we had those rules. And obviously, either they didn't work or they enabled this system to happen. This is the Spooner thing, right? It's either
over time.
Yeah, it's either been powerless to stop it, or it's enabled the thing to happen.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So I'll continue a little more, and then we'll pause, and we'll probably call it a night, my friend.
Yeah.
Outcomes by any definition of better and worse that makes sense.
Even from within the confines of the games that you're describing.
Yeah.
Right. Because one of the ways of deciding that a game is counterproductive is that if you play it, it doesn't produce the result that it intends. Right. Right. So that's another kind of universal hallmark of moral judgment. Like, if you're aiming at something and your strategy doesn't get you there, either your strategy is wrong or your aim is off by your own definition. Right.
Okay,
there's no relativizing your way out of that. And then we could say, well,
I already have to pause. I know it's quick, but
no, totally. That's important, man.
It's just like, this is the definition, of hold on. I gotta collect my thoughts here. Can you say something for a second?
Yeah. So we got people on here. Let's see. First of all, let's go through. We got this. We got, okay, Free said, don't let me drag you down, Jason. Bad strategy. And then Jason said he needs a handicap. And I said I'm handy capable. And now Jason's in a rage because Peterson said something that just absolutely triggered him.
What did Peterson just say?
You know what? I can go back just here. Let's see.
Go back a few seconds.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we? 20,
15
27?
seconds.
How about that?
Strategy is wrong or your aim is off by your own definition, right? There's no relativizing your way.
Makes sense.
Even from within the confines of the games that you're describing.
Yeah.
Right. Because one of the ways of deciding that a game is counterproductive is that if you play it, it doesn't produce the result that it intends. Right. Right. So that's another kind of uniform.
So the way to know, I was going to say, there's a famous quote that says, the purpose of a system is what it does. Right. So if we're in this system and it continually produces a result that we say we don't want, but we don't change the system at all, are we really trying to get a different result? Because I don't think so. We're getting the same result. It's the definition of insanity, is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And we're not going to get a different result with this.
It makes me think Einstein. Yeah, absolutely. Just to your point.
Yeah. I'm sorry I had a brain fart there, but thank you for going back.
No, it's absolutely great point on that, because it is the shortest point, but it has so much meat on that little statement, right?
Yeah.
Like, the whole point is, like, first of all, if it doesn't have the intended consequences, then you just adjust. That's the point, is like, you have to test it somehow. So if it doesn't have the intended consequence, of course it didn't work. But then what? To your point, like, he doesn't talk about the correction mechanism. He just talks about,
well, we didn't follow the rules, guys. We got to go back and follow the rules. And then the same people are involved that are not going to follow the rules. And then you're in the same place that you started. Again,
it's the same psychopath narcissists that want the positions of power that he talks about that are so easy to fulfill by the way the systems are set up.
Yep.
All right. How about that? Oh, sorry. We're going to cover your face, Jason.
Fine. My face sucks anyway. Justin says every system that's managed by people will be corrupted over time. Perhaps a truly anarchist society where it is survival of strong versus weak and winner takes all is different as it reflects our nature. Yeah, man. I don't even know the real answer, but that's kind of where I'm at, is like, every system's going to be corrupted. People are always going to have their own interests in mind, or at least one specific group of interests in mind. And that never lines up with everyone. So the further we can decentralize it and get people involved in their own interests, I think the better we are. But
now we're talking utopia here.
There's no utopia. There's no perfect.
Exactly. But we're talking in a perfect society. The point is, knowing that we're corrupt, we just must be transparent about our corruption. And by being transparent about a corruption, the other side of that is that people, knowing that people get corrupted, have more grace. But if that's done at the smallest micro level right away, it doesn't get to like Anthony Fauci corruption. Right? So like, the point isn't that it's corrupt. It's that you sweep the first little thing under the rug, and then that makes the second thing a little easier to sweep under next time. And before you know it, the pile starts building under the carpet, then it might blow up, right? That's really what it is. So what would be great is a culture where we're like, humans are flawed, which we kind of say that, but we go, but we don't give the grace on the other side. Because of that flaw, we need to admit that we're flawed when we flaw. And then the other side of that is, yeah, you're human just like me. Cool, I accept that you're flawed too, and I'm going to screw up next time, and you're going to give me that grace. Like, that would be a great cultural way for us to really work together moving forward. I just don't know how that's achievable, to be honest, or how that's realistic.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's a great place to wrap it up, man. You want to Irish goodbye this shit?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much. First of all, everybody, 120 people on. We're getting out of here right now, sir, so we can get it.
We love you.
Listen it out here. Outro, everybody.
I've got my iron and my 6 drink.